Imagine yourself in 1930, aboard a colossal ocean liner adrift amidst the ink-dark swells of the Indian Ocean, where the rhythm of waves against the hull mimics an ancient, rhythmic breath. Inside a cabin bathed in the flickering glow of a kerosene lamp and heavy with the scent of brine, a 19-year-old youth sits quietly, his empty hands spread open. He is not plotting a grand entrance into London's social elite. Instead, within the theater of his mind, sharpened into a keen instrument by years of celestial observation, he is obsessively calculating the philosophical metaphors of white dwarf internal pressure. This sage from India is on the verge of a staggering revelation. Not all stars are destined to age with grace, some are fated to slide into the eternal abyss of collapse. This is Subramanian Chandrasekhar, the intellectual sentinel who chose a steadfast exile within the wasteland of logic at the very summit of mathematics. The genesis of Chandrasekhar's life lacked the characteristic buoyancy of the scientific aristocracy. Instead, it was a somber canvas woven from the humid shadows of Madras, defined by stringent familial codes and an irrevocable lineage. Born into a household of erudition, a prodigy naturally endowed with the faculty to perceive the structures of nature, he inherited a microcosm that was chillingly austere, obsessed with the equilibrium of order and the gambits of the intellect. In the British Raj of that era, the morning bells were inseparable from the towering silhouette of his uncle, C.V. Raman, a Nobel laureate. In study corners burnished by the glow of firelight, he learned to pierce through physical phenomena to find the underlying geometric architecture. This almost pathological pursuit of ordered truth became the first indelible crease in his psyche, and the sole armor with which he would guard his integrity in a turbulent world if his early self-study was a tempering of the will. His decision during the long voyage to Cambridge to forge a union between quantum mechanics and general relativity to derive the fate of collapsing stars was a practical crucible for his aesthetic of minimalism. In that endgame concerning the limits of white dwarfs and universal gravitation, fate handed him the heaviest and most perilous of wagers. He dismantled every prevailing model of perfect stasis, resolutely transforming his searing intuition into an ultimate intellectual odyssey. In that moment, Chandrasekhar was the most lucid and solitary artisan upon the Indian Ocean. He met every challenge from across the Atlantic with silence. This profound absorption rendered him like a marble bell tower. Solitary, yet unyielding and magnificent. To a sage, the pinnacle of power is often the penetration of truth. Chandrasekhar gradually realized that when his manuscript was publicly shredded at the Royal Astronomical Society by his once revered mentor Arthur Eddington, he gained more than mere humiliation. He attained a transcendent nihilism regarding the rise and fall of worldly things. He retreated more frequently to the origins of his conviction. In the seclusion of his study, accompanied only by the soft friction of his lamp, he began to recalibrate the natural codex he had memorized 10,000 times. This expansive clarity, born of looking past material vanity, became his sturdiest armor. It allowed him to maintain a composure as serene as a sunset sinking into the sea, even as he faced the onslaught of emerging disciplines and the closing of his era. The final chapter of Chandrasekhar's life unfolded in a silence that was profoundly solemn and luminous with wisdom. By this time, the physicist's body had grown ethereal through decades of intellectual labor. His once heavy ceremonial robes now hung loosely upon a frail frame, or rather they hung upon a will that had nearly become a shadow. That was the year he finally received the Nobel Prize. Delayed by half a century, yet he met the accolade with a settled indifference, as if he had long since peered through the veil of such things. He left behind no vast dynastic estate, he left only this searing wisdom of conscience, a light that remains undimmed after 100 years. Even today, 30 years after his physical passing, the name Chandrasekhar remains the sole sanctuary for those who seek truth in the depths of the night. What he left behind was not a towering monument of conquest, but a spiritual archetype of self-restraint and noble departure. His life was a protracted discipline in the deconstruction of splendor, a magnificent intellectual march toward the divine cadences hidden within a chaotic world.